this video I'm going to talk about anemones, and I'm going to demonstrate a little country English cottage garden, kind of loose market style arrangement at the end of the video. I was really conflicted about these anemones because I have a cottage garden which is obviously still in the making. I have a cottage that was just really dead when I moved in. It had a big lawn almost right up to the borders, and it had obviously had a lot of chemicals put on it, because I can always tell because there are no birds and there are lots of slugs, and obviously the birds can't survive if the slugs and everything are poisoned. So I decided to bring this garden back to a typical English cottage garden, and the anemones are not working, so that's where I'm conflicted. They did, despite my worry in my previous video that they were short stemmed, they have grown up a bit, as you can see there, so they are suitable for an arrangement. But I don't have a cut flower garden, I have an English cottage garden. That's what I'm trying to achieve, and I don't think these work as an English cottage garden flower, not in the way that I have grown them here as a cut flower in this border. So I would definitely, next year, if I do them again, if they turn out to be a nice cut flower that I do want to keep painting or have in the house, then I will plant them in pots and dot them around the garden instead. Although the flowers themselves are beautiful, I mean, here's a case in point, I think a border is wasted with them unless you are specifically growing them for cut flowers. That's your aim, which I am not. I'm growing them for, no, I mean, I am growing them for cut flowers, but I also have a cottage garden, so I've got to find a way of making that work. So either at the front of a border for sure, they would look nice, maybe intermingled with some taller tulips behind and some iris. Here's one that grew on my pathway. I must have just left the sprouted corn here and it's grown up. But as a border flower, I obviously filled this border with them, and I'm just not really feeling it. I think it looks quite scruffy, to be honest, especially because it doesn't, I've got this mangled lawn from when I was digging the borders over the winter. I kind of ruined the lawn, so I have to kind of fix that. And the ruined lawn against this weird clump of anemones is just not working. Alright, so if it doesn't work as a cottage garden flower, certainly not really in a border, how can I use it as a cut flower? So I was looking around the garden at my various other things that are flowering at this time to see what I could use. I was thinking, I have so many flowers, what if I did do a farmer's market, just for the fun of it? By the way, I do use these Granny's bonnets, columbine. They self-seed all over my garden, so they're just an absolute blessing for a filler. And look at the colours, so they're going to match. So I will definitely be cutting those. And I thought, I might do a farmer's market, actually, because why not? Just for the fun of it, just to see what happens. We have a market town not that far from here. Not really sure how busy it is. By the way, I love these. These are Biscotta Superba. They are absolutely my favourite. I used to pull these up. I used to see those big, fat, ugly leaves, and I used to think, oh God, they're a weed or something. So I used to pull them up. And then one year I didn't, and these beautiful pokers came, and they spread like mad, so I won't be pulling any more up. And of course the forget-me-nots are absolutely great, and they have a great vase life, and these also self-seed all over my garden, but I don't think I'm going to use those today. So I'm going to use the Granny's Bonnet Aquilegia. And I had this really nice sort of rustic colour, and I have a blue and a pink. So I'm going to put those together with my anemones, and I'm also going to obviously scout around for some foliage. And foliage wise, I decided on this new growth on some of this ivy. This ivy is overgrown anyway, so I need to cut this back. I picked some honeysuckle, the lighter green, which I haven't got any footage of, but take it from me, I picked some honeysuckle. And I also picked some of this kind of broom forsythia bush, which is in an area that I haven't developed yet. It's going to actually be a border, so I will be digging it up. So it's actually just pretty useful now, and the leaves are smaller, so I thought the texture, it might provide a more interesting varied texture. And then for some more filler flowers, I thought I would use the wallflowers that I have in my border right here. These are great. They throw up these big stems, this purple one, not the tulips. They throw up these big stems and they've got all these other buds. Just like the Verbena bonasariensis, which throws up all the stems all year round and just spreads everywhere. So does this one. So it's pretty good, and you can just pick these stems and then you just, as you would with any foliage, you pull off the sort of spent stems, because it seems to flower, it almost seems to sort of almost flower like from the bottom up. I don't think it does, but you seem to get the spent flowers at the bottom sooner. You can just strip them off like you would any foliage, and you've got these lovely pokers that you can plop into the vase in and around, and just fill it out a bit, you know, with a bit of extra colour, because the anemones at this stage are not sort of super prolific. I've got quite a lot, but I don't have like a prolific endless amount of them, as you can see. So these wallflowers will just go really well, and it's all tying in really nicely. And I did pick some of the biscotta pink pokers actually as well. And what else was I going to get? Some tulips. I did decide that I do have a cut flower patch, so I might as well use those tulips, because they're also pretty drowned out by the alliums which have grown up above. Speaking of alliums, I think I'm going to pick some of those as well, but I'm going to pick some of the smaller sized alliums rather than the big sort of, what name are they? I forget the name of them, but you know those big ones that are the size of a, you know, like the size of your hand, really. I'm not going to be picking those. So these are the tulips that were a bit drowned out over here in the cut flower patch. This used to be my original cut flower patch. I used to have 3 of these kind of raised borders, but I took 2 of them down, and the only reason I didn't take this one down is because I'd already planted it up before I decided to just actually expand my border right across the garden. At which point I dismantled the other 2, but I left these. So this is my black parrot tulips that they're sort of hiding down here, and I think they're going to provide a bit of contrast, because otherwise it's all a bit too samey and too harmonious almost. And actually looking back now, I mean, look at the ivy, isn't it beautiful, that new ivy? Looking back now and reviewing this video, and also the arrangements that I did, my gut instinct was that the pheasant's eye narcissus were too bright. The whiteness of them was too luminous, but I kind of wish I had added them now, because I think it was a little bit too harmonious, and I think when your display is too, kind of the colours are too samey. Sorry, I am doing a really bad job of filming this with one hand and trying to cut it with the other. I don't know why I didn't just put it on a stand for you, but there you go. I had so many things to do yesterday that just really distracted me from focusing on this one job, that I ended up sort of making a bit of a mess of it, really. And also I haven't done a video for a while. You kind of get out of the habit of what you're doing when you're not doing it regularly. Silly, really. Back to the Narcissa. Yes, I think it could have benefited from something that contrasted with it to lift it. When the colours are too harmonious, nothing is really standing out. So that's something to think about when you're putting together floral displays. But this one, I wanted a really loose, easy, relaxed country feel. So I think I did achieve that in the end, as you will see when I start putting this together in a minute. I didn't want the reds, I thought they were too clashy, so I went for just the pinks and the purpley blues there, which I think are called Mr. Ruffles, actually. Because they're so low growing, what you need to be very careful of when you're snipping them down towards the ground there is not getting the new buds. You can see a new flower head forming there right down into the ground. That will grow up just as tall as this one. And you really want to be careful not to snip that off, otherwise, that's the end of that. And it's not easy. Sometimes they're so close because they're on the same plant, obviously. Anyhow, it's good to know that I've got loads more of these to come. This is what I mean about doing the cut flower. I've got so many flowers. I really think for fun I might do a market with one of my daughters, or something this year. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I'm always doing too much. Spread myself way too thinly. And with a lot of these anemones, you'll find another little bud just on the side of the flower here. So they're kind of unusually structured, I think. I mean, they really are a pretty flower. I wish I liked them more. I mean, I like them as a flower, as a cut flower, but as a cottage garden flower, not really. As I said, I think next year I'm going to grow them in pots. So I think I just can't stand low growing borders. That's just not how cottage gardens work, really. Anyway, so they're looking quite good in the bucket there, aren't they? There's some nice bits and bobs in there. Usually by now I would already have quite a lot of roses, and I like to pair them with these pear leaves. But I cut the pears back so hard this year that I haven't got long enough stems really for pear leaves. And I also cut the roses back really hard because remember I got that black spot. By the way, they look amazing. Not any black spot in sight. So I'm going to do an update video on the roses actually, but because I cut them back so hard, they are running a couple of weeks late, so I didn't really have much of my usual springtime foliage. I love the pear leaves, they're absolutely beautiful with roses and with any arrangement, but hey ho, we'll just have to do without those this year. So I took another look at the arrangement of flowers, and as you can see, they're absolutely beautiful. I did pick some of these smaller alliums, like I said, and I think they all work together well. As I say, reviewing the video and the finished product, really, sometimes you have time to sort of think about it. And I did think that it could have benefited from something more contrasting. Even these tulips don't really contrast that much because, as you can see, they're quite harmonious with the aquilegia, the columbine, and same with the anemones and the columbine. So I did feel that they could have benefited from something. I did add also this biscotta. Look, these, don't they look lovely? I love those. So maybe the forget-me-nots would have looked good, and the narcissus as a contrast, the luminous white leaves of the narcissus. But anyway, it is what it is. This was just a practice go. This was just a pretend. I got 3 coffee jars as if I was doing a market, and I thought, let's do them as if we were going to market and we're going to sell them. In fact, I'm just going to put them in my house, but I thought for fun of it, let's do it. Because as I said, I might do a market. I'm thinking about it. So I'll speed this up because you don't really need to see me doing it all in, minute real time. I will just take a moment to mention the Cut Flowers for Market book that I did, which is available on Amazon Prime, almost anywhere worldwide. I'm not sure if there are any countries excluded, but I thought what was really interesting is this bouquet page, which I'm going to use to sort of remind myself what recipe I have here, and to make notes about, my thoughts on whether I should have had the white narcissus and everything like that. So I did actually end up drawing my bouquet and sort of colouring it in so that I can remember for next time, and also recording the time of year and what have you, so that each year you're not starting from scratch thinking, oh, what am I going to do for, market or whatever, or, for birthday or whatever you want your cut flowers for. And although I'm very tech savvy and, I can use a computer to record all this stuff, I don't know, I just kind of like to do sometimes, I think doing things manually, writing them down or drawing them or whatever, just helps to sort of consolidate it in your mind, if you know what I mean. So there you go. So here I am, obviously now using the honeysuckle that I didn't show you me picking, but I told you I got some honeysuckle. And another thought I had when I was doing this is I really think I should have used more foliage than I actually did. So, but I'm learning as I go. So I'm learning all the time about what works and what doesn't work. They still made really pretty country cottage flower displays. I think you could sell these for sort of $10 or something. I don't know, maybe you think more. I don't know really. I don't really know about the pricing of these things. But I thought, these, when you think what you get in a supermarket for $10, and then you look at these are really sweet on a kitchen table, in a bathroom, anything like that. They're just really beautiful. So that's more or less it. I'll just show you them. I'll move this foliage out of the way so you can get a better look at them. I really like the height that the Aquilegia gave them. And the alliums, you got those longer stems, and then of course your showcase stems, your anemones, lower down at the front of the vases. I really wanted to achieve a loose country cottage feel. I'm not a fan of really contrived bouquets and floral displays. It's one of the reasons I don't buy floral displays from shops and supermarkets. You can see I've got some gaps. I could do some more work on these, but they're still really cute. I can't stand contrived where I would never buy flowers from, well, I'm not going to say because I'm probably going to get hate if I say that, but sometimes when you look online, flowers to send, a loved one, I just don't want to fork out for some of them. I don't like them. I really like this kind of display here, where everything's a little bit wonky and things are bent, and I just love the natural country cottage, English country cottage feel of them. So overall, I'm pretty happy with them. But I think if I were to do them again today, learning what I've learned, what I did and didn't like about these arrangements, I would probably add more foliage. And I think it's possible. I don't know. I'm torn. What do you think? I really like the harmonious colouring. So maybe if I did plonk in those pheasant's eye narcissus, it would be too much of a clash. I don't know. Maybe could do some more of the wallflowers, and just a bit more foliage, I think, to set off the Aquilegias a bit, which are, they've only got air around them, so they've got nothing, no backdrop, if you like. So possibly some foliage would benefit there. Look at the tulips. I love that green bit. It's almost like foliage itself. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the recipe. I think it could just maybe do with a bit more, and maybe I should have done 2 vases instead of 3. These things you work out as you go. I still think it's a little pretty posy of flowers. Um, as I say, for a kitchen table or a window ledge, I think these are beautiful. And I think, yeah, $10, why not? What would you get in the supermarket for $10? You'd get, a handful of tulips or something, that have been, grown in intense conditions, and they're sort of small and stubby. I don't know. What do you think? I love them. So that's that. Okay, that's it. So I'm going to do my next video is going to be on my roses. And what else am I going to do? Well, my ranunculus are coming soon. I've got sort of about, I mean, I'm going to be overwhelmed with the whole 5 or 6 buds I've got coming up on them. So we'll see what happens. We'll be catching up with those soon, hopefully. And I've got buds on my roses, which, as I say, are behind the clock, but the buds are all coming. So I can't wait, actually, to have those. I think the anemones have won me over overall, but I think I just got to think more carefully about where I plant them, because as a cottage garden flower, they do look a little bit scruffy. As a cut flower, look at them. They look wonderful. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this and you got something out of it. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.